Panther people, what's going on? Let's talk about that schedule. Where are the wins? Where are the losses? At what point does Matt Rhule lose his job? Let's get right to it. Week 1 at the bank. It could be a dramatic one. The Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson show up to Charlotte to take on the Carolina Panthers, a team that Deshaun spurned at one point twice. Yeah, twice. Spurning the Carolina Panthers. He's going to be taking on Sam Darnold and the Panthers. Probably not Matt Corral and the Panthers. Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. Now, while we don't know if that's actually going to happen, Ikem Ekwonu, the 6th overall pick for the Carolina Panthers, is going to be taking on Myles Garrett for his first test as a starting left tackle, assuming that he is a left tackle. I think with that, if we're talking about wins and losses at this point, that's the point of this episode. Panthers could start 0-1. Panthers could start 0-1 right there with Deshaun Watson under center and that, juiced up Cleveland Browns team. Panthers could start 0-1 at home. Panthers then go on the road to MetLife Stadium. They take on the New York Jets. And if you remember last year, you probably, cut this from your brain, but probably the most embarrassing performance out of the Carolina Panthers last year. And it could be possible that if the Panthers somehow start 0-2 and Matt Rhule loses this game against the Giants, could he be fired before we even reach week 3? Could he be fired where it all started for him as a prospective NFL coach, where he was, I think, an assistant offensive lineman coach with the New York Giants? Could he lose his job and then they just kind of leave him in the Meadowlands? If he loses this game, I honestly think that is a possibility. In this specific exercise, I do not think the Panthers are going to lose this game. I think they're going to pull out the dub. Saints now under the control of Jameis Winston. They got a brand new head coach. Apparently their old head coach could be the Panthers' new head coach at one point. It'd be funny if Matt Rhule gets gassed in week 2 somehow, and then Sean Payton kind of pegged as next year's head coach, as Ben McAdoo or someone else takes the reins for the rest of this year. Sean Payton takes over next year. We'll see. But I see the Panthers winning this one at home, so they're now 2-1. Week 4, Kyler Murray, who also had loose ties with the Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals, taking on the Panthers at Bank of America Stadium. Game 2 of a straight 3-game home game slate. Panthers got to win at least one of these games. I'm picking the Saints game in week 3 for them to be a dub. For the Cardinals game, the Panthers somehow just seem to have the Cardinals number here. I feel like that they could win this one as well. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins. He's going to be suspended for the first 6 games of the season. So you got him, and they lost Christian Kirk. They still got A.J. Green. They got Hollywood Brown, but I feel like guys like J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson kind of keep that under wraps. And, with our linebacking core right now, I feel like they can keep Zach Ertz under control as well. So I feel like the Panthers are going to win that one. This one might be a bit tough. Another one of those, Carolina quarterback connection type games. The San Francisco 49ers then taking on the Carolina Panthers at the bank. Is Jimmy Garoppolo their starter? Is it Trey Lance? Is Jimmy the Panthers' starting quarterback? Who knows? Let's assume that he is not the starting quarterback for the Panthers. He's actually still with the Niners. Trey Lance taking longer than they thought to develop. They still got Debo. They still got Debo, and I feel like they could potentially try to run all over the Panthers. But our improved defense, with guys like Brandon Smith, we got some new defensive linemen as well. The guy's name escapes me from the Washington now Commanders. But I feel like it could be a tight game, but the Niners going to take that one. Brutal for the Panthers, starting with, if you want to consider the Cardinals being a brutal matchup, I personally don't think that. I think the Niners game could be a loss. I think more likely a loss than a win. But then the Panthers head to the West Coast and take on the Super Bowl champion LA Rams, playing another quarterback that spurned them in Matthew Stafford. They're going to be at SoFi Stadium. Personally, not a fan of the Rams, not a fan of SoFi Stadium. Their owner owns Arsenal. Bitter rivals with Tottenham Hotspur, so F these guys, but I feel like you could chalk that up as an L, and just enjoy the beach. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I feel like that this is their last hurrah. They're going to give everything they can for Tom, not like Tom is some sympathetic figure. 10 years, $375 million to call football games and hang out with celebrities. I feel like the Panthers they just can't find a way against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They might be able to steal one later in the year, but I feel like at this point at home, you know what? No. Rob Gronkowski might not come back. You know what? Let's say they split this one. And at this point, okay, I'm going to tell you more about it later. Okay, at this point, I think the Panthers might actually steal this one. Panthers might steal this game just because they're at home. I'm assuming the Panther fans are a little bit more riled up because they beat the Saints at home. They beat the Cardinals at home. They lost it close into the Niners. And then, they lose maybe a heartbreaker, maybe a hard-fought game at SoFi. And then they come home and the fans are a little bit more jacked up. You never know. That the Panthers, I think they're going to go 2-0 against divisional rivals, the Atlanta Falcons. I really do think that the Falcons are going to be absolute dog crap. Could be in the Bryce Young, Will Anderson sweepstakes next year. So I feel like the Panthers are going to go to Atlanta, win that one big time. Right after that, the Panthers take on the Cincinnati Bengals, the runner-up, the finalists at the Super Bowl. And we're all very aware, especially after Super Bowl 50, of Super Bowl hangovers. However, I do think Joe Burrow is a calming presence with that team. I think that team did get better. Again, it could be a close game, but I feel like unless the Bengals hit some kind of funk or, they stay motivated after losing last year's Super Bowl, I see the latter happening. I see the Panthers taking the L there. They then have a make-good game. They come back home welcoming the Atlanta Falcons, and I feel like that is an instant dub. 100%, no doubt about it. This one's tough. They go to Baltimore and take on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, while dude is great, Lamar is a threat in many aspects of the game, but I honestly don't know who he's throwing to at this moment. I feel like the Panthers could steal one. I feel like the defensive backs can limit the limited resources that Lamar Jackson has at his disposal. And then you got our athletic linebackers with a Shaq, Frankie Louvu, Brandon Smith, assuming that guy can make a couple plays as a rookie. I feel like they can contain Lamar Jackson. Panthers come up with a win there in Baltimore. Tough place to play. And then Russell Wilson comes to town with the Denver Broncos, a Super Bowl 50 rematch. Is it really a rematch? No, completely different teams now. But the Broncos, I don't know. There's something about this team. There's so many high expectations, with Russell Wilson bringing his, lame-ass personality to Colorado. But I have a weird feeling this might be the flop of the season, that this team might be the flop of the season. Mark it. Not only they're in the AFC West, like they might not even win, their own division. But I feel like it's not going to connect as much as we think it's going to connect. But all in all, if you look at roster-wise, they are better than the Panthers. I feel like Russ still going to come out with a win. But at the end of the day, mark it. I don't think the Broncos are even going to make it to the Super Bowl. Now with all this, let's assume it. So we went almost 13 weeks. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we went 12 weeks. Do we really think Sam Darnold is going to be starting all of these games? At one point, I feel like, because the bye is so late, at this moment, normally it's during the bye week that you put in the new quarterback for them to, relearn the system, start practicing with the first team. That's where you can see someone like third-round pick Matt Corral starting for the Panthers the next week, the following week in the Pacific Northwest against the Seattle Seahawks. But at what point could we see if Sam Darnold screws the pooch against the Rams? That'd be tough. The Super Bowl champions, you can't really blame them. If he somehow, after that 3-game homestand, is responsible for losses, which I'm not slating for them to have right now, except against the 49ers. At that point, that's how I could see a QB change. But if not, if Sam somehow holds down the fort and is mediocre, and and it looks like maybe it's a lost season for the Panthers, which, again, I'm not really showing too much. How many losses do I have so far for the Panthers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 losses. I don't know. But this could be Matt Corral watch after the bye week for him to get up to speed with the first team and then start in the Pacific Northwest against the Seattle Seahawks, who, again, they're also struggling. They also don't have a QB identity. They have Geno Smith, who is serviceable. But I think the Panthers get a win on the road there. Steelers with Kenny Pickett at the helm, under center, and shotgun with his tiny little hands. I feel like he returns to Bank of America Stadium where he won the ACC championship. We had the fake slide. He's not gonna get away with that with guys like J.C. Horn and Jeremy Chin in the defensive backfield. I feel like the Panthers get a big win at home. Panthers and welcome the Detroit Lions. So again, this schedule is not the worst. It's not the worst. They space it out pretty well. You got 3 teams in a row after the bye week. The Hawks, You got the Steelers and you got the Lions, all of which are in a rebuild situation. And so that is a chance for the Panthers to go 3-0 there. And I feel like the Panthers could definitely beat the Lions at home. So that's a dub. They go to Tampa, loss, and then last game of the year, maybe to determine, who goes to the playoffs, who's the wild card right now. I feel like, the Saints and the Panthers are the second and third and vice versa, best teams in the division after Tampa Bay. So, either one of us, depending on maybe who wins this game, goes into the playoffs as the wild card. And I feel like, New Orleans at home, maybe they hit their stride. Maybe finally Jameis has a nice connection with his new rookie receivers. I feel like the Saints win that one. Recap the wins here. Now I gotta somehow remember all this. Let's do the wins. So New York Giants, dub. Week 3, dub. Week 4 against the Cardinals, dub. Let's reverse that. In week 7, I think they're gonna go 0-2 against the Bucks. Then win against the Falcons, loss against the Bengals, win against the Falcons, win against the Ravens, loss against the Broncos, bye week, win against the Seahawks, win against the Steelers, win against the Lions. So that's 9 wins. That's 9 wins for the Panthers this year. That's 9. So they go 9-8. Matt Rule's still here. At 9-8, Matt Rule is still here. So let that soak in. Unless, 9 wins. That means Matt Rule's here. If they somehow lose that game against New York in the Meadowlands, Matt Rule is gone. Ben McAdoo, in the former team that employed him as a head coach, will be the interim. Maybe Matt Corral is now the starter at that point. That's his guy, his RPO guy. He puts in his system for Matt Corral to make Matt Corral successful as a rookie. I think week 2, the adversity starts right away. But 9 wins, if that happens, and that includes a win at the Meadowlands, that means Matt Rule's still the head coach. And did they achieve it with Sam Darnold as the quarterback or Matt Corral? I think Matt Corral, potentially, if he does get a start, if they want to do him a favor, give it to him after the bye week. But if somehow the Panthers lose against Cleveland, New York, Matt Rule's gone after week 2. I know it sounds crazy, but that is a moment where they just clear ship of all the DNA of Matt Rule. They put in Matt Corral, and he's at home against the Saints right away. I could see that maybe happening. That would be a wild set of circumstances right there. Lose against the Giants, fire your head coach, take on your divisional rival, and then announce that you're hiring their former head coach to be your new head coach. And then it's a brand new season for the Panthers. But at this point, the way I initially said it, and we'll come back at the end of the year, 9 wins. So they're beating the Giants, they're beating the Cardinals, they're beating the Falcons twice, they're beating the Ravens, and the Hawks, and the Steelers, and the Lions. That'll make people feel pretty good. That's what I'm saying. That'd be a good stretch of games for a rookie like Matt Corral if they want to make a change after the bye week. Because then he's got a rebuilding Hawks team, a rebuilding Steelers team, a rebuilding Lions team, and then 2 divisional rivals to let him get to know what the division's all about. Let me know what you think. Where the win's coming from, where the loss is coming from. Comment below. See you guys soon.